not waiting. We have to go.
Okay.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Sunshine Law. Time, date, and place has been furnished to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Notice has also been posted on the bulletin board of the Administration Building. Will the clerk kindly take the roll?
Mayor Giordano.
Here.
Mr. Brennick.
He's outside for a minute.
Mr. Martinello.
Here.
Mr. Raimondo.
Here.
Mr. Ritchie.
Here.
Mrs. Weber.
Here.
Even though Al's not here tonight, please speak loud and into the microphone. Would everyone kindly stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us have a moment of silence for all our veterans, our Waldick veterans and veterans all across our country who have given up the ultimate sacrifice, fighting for our freedom so that we could assemble the way we are tonight. Would the clerk kindly do the prayer?
We thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Fill our lives with your love. Fill our conversations with your grace and truth. Fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Amen. Good evening, everyone. And tonight, as you know, we will be presenting our 2024 budget. Under my report, it'll be very quick. First of all, for the last 2 weeks, the administrator and myself have been meeting to discuss certain things about the budget and also certain things about moving forward in 2024 for the Borough of Waldwick. As we go along with different things that we have discussed, you'll be the first ones to know about it, and most of them will all be in a vote for the council to discuss. Also, just a reminder that Thursday night at 5:30 in front of the library, the first hopefully annual, Ramadan ceremony will be held. The administrator and I met with the group of people who have decided to ask us to do the ceremony, and we met with them at the library, and they're looking forward to showing the Borough of Waldwick their religion and how they treat each other and how unity and love becomes part of everyone's life. So if you are available, please come and support the Ramadan community of Waldwick as they start this new tradition here in the borough. That's all I have to report. Financial Administrative Committee, Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this evening. I'll hold my comments until we introduce the budget.
Thank you very much. Fire and Police Protection Committee, Mr. Brennick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I have to report tonight is the fact that the president of the fire department, Jeff Stevens, resigned his position as such. According to the bylaws, the vice president of the fire department takes command, and so we welcome Christina Agugliaro as the president of the fire department. And also, per our bylaws, she's allowed to appoint a vice president to fulfill the balance of the term, and that individual is Keith Hockenbeck. We wish them both tremendous luck in the future, and I look forward to working with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Ms. Sarah Kohler. Ms. Sarah Kohler is not here tonight. She had a business appointment that she had to take care of with out-of-town clients that came into New Jersey. But she did ask me to read a report that was sent to her by the president, Mr. Papendick, who also sent it to myself and sent it also to our administrator. The policy now with the ambulance corps is whenever before a meeting, Mr. Papendick will be sending us all information that we need to know, and Katie will also talk about it. The main thing is that on Saturday, Wolvac responded to a basic life support response for a call for an elderly man, partly fall victim with heavy breathing. Officers Wanamaker, Rittendale, Seaford, and Sanchez were on the scene. The Wolvac members on the call was Lucas Nostros and Ashley Statuto. Hopefully I said the names right. This is the medical report from the call. BLS 590 was dispatched to a home on Zanzetti Street. They referred it they went there for a basic life support radio dispatch from the borough of Waldwick. When they got there, they realized that it wasn't there, but Waldwick called them back and said it was at the near the train station area. An elderly man fell victim with heavy breathing. While en route, the BLS was advised that no patient contact was made in that area, so then they went near the train tracks and they found the person there. What they did was they took care of him, they made sure everything was stable, and they sent him to Valley Hospital, where, as of writing of this letter, he's still in the hospital. There have been many runs that the ambulance corps had. If anybody wants it, we have copies. What we'll do is anyone could ask for it. I would be more than happy to give you everything that you need to know about how the Waldwick Ambulance Corps is doing on a daily basis with calls. A lot of people on the ambulance corps have been responding to a lot of calls, from 25 calls to 1 call. But mostly they've been kept very busy, and they are still doing a great job protecting our residents and our community. And that's all I have to report for Katie. I probably wouldn't have done it the right way, but Katie will do it next time when she's here. Recreation and Health Committee, Mr. Martinello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brief report tonight. Registration is still open for Waldwick baseball and softball programs from pre-K through 8th grade. We've had a lot of great registration so far, almost 400 kids and 80 volunteers. Look forward to opening day on April 27th. And this weekend, March 16th, we have our annual field cleanup day, where we'll have members from the Waldwick High School varsity baseball and softball teams there to help the parents and kids from the organization maintain the fields. Junior football held their first annual meeting, or their first monthly meeting of the year. They're getting ready to open registration this year. Expect great numbers and new members of the league joining. Travel soccer is also holding tryouts April 22nd through the 26th. Please visit warriorsfc.org for more registration information. They're also having soccer clinics this year in April. Feel free to sign up for those on warriorsfc.org. And finally, our Midland Park Junior Panther program is open for registration for summer camp. As you know, the residents from Waldwick are free to use the Midland Park summer camp for our children. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Mr. Raimondo.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. Just want to give you some updates on some of the improvements that the DPW is handling in-house. The kitchen at the ambulance squad is complete. They also did the kitchen at the nurses station. That is also complete. They also painted the break room that's been due for some time over at the DPW building. They have another 2 weeks of truck maintenance before it's complete. They usually do that during the winter months, so that this way, coming into the springtime, they don't have to worry about any maintenance issues. They're going to begin cleaning the catch basins in 2 weeks. They're going to be starting on the streets that are going to be paved, so that those are done prior to any of the paving work being done. With regards to the water department, they replaced a valve on well number 2. They're still checking the valves on the streets that will be paved this year. They're also checking the lead copper inventory of pipes for water systems, starting with the streets scheduled for paving. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mrs. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over at the ambulance corps at the Wallvac, they're doing some renovations there, and those are moving along quite nicely. Thanks to the DPW and a handful of their employees who are pretty skilled at doing some other things. We're able to take care of some of the renovations there. Bathroom renovations and flooring are next on the list there. The charging stations over here in the parking lot, the installation is moving along. Matthew has some more information on that. He'll speak to it later. And then the pistol range, we're getting some estimates on the new HVAC system, and the roofing there is being looked into. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Borough Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things to note. Our water treatment project is moving along. They are doing the major construction in the area of HCA Park right now. Things have slowed a little bit just due to all the rain. They've had some pretty muddy conditions they've been fighting against, but they are moving along nicely. The vessels are ahead of schedule and actually scheduled to start arriving throughout the month of April. So we'll have more communications coming out on that. But they're going to try and deliver not all at once, so they're at all the sites. They're going to try and stagger it, so 1 week, one vessel will get delivered to one well site, and then, kind of stagger things that way. So we're looking forward to getting those in, but we're still on schedule for that. You'll see tonight there's a resolution to appoint a new police officer, Luke Jimenez, who is pretty much all set to begin if tonight's resolution gets approved. We also have a resolution on for a new dispatcher. We are going to be looking for per diem dispatchers and another full-time dispatcher as well. So I wanted to make note of that. And then just lastly, we are just about ready to launch the new website. We're waiting on one last piece to transfer the domain over to our new host before we officially launch, but we're excited to get that up and running. So as soon as that's ready, I'll let you know, and we'll communicate that out to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Dog licensing is ongoing. The late fee goes into effect March 1st, and we've issued 630 dog tags to date. We will be doing a dog census probably in May. Next week, under new business, I'd like to discuss a new ordinance for dog licensing. Under new business, I'm going to discuss a new ordinance for dog licensing late fees. With regards to election, deadline to change your political party affiliation is April the 10th. The last day to register to vote in the June primary is May 14th. Resolution 2024-102 is an approval of an amended auto cab or limo license. That's for DJ Limo. All the paperwork has been submitted and is complete. 2024-103 is the social affair permit for WCA. And 2024-104 is the approval of the off-premise 50/50 raffle license for Waldwick Baseball. We've received all that paperwork, and everything is complete for that as well. That's all I have for now.
Thank you. Grant Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilwoman Weber stated, the electric vehicle charging construction has begun. The new utility pole has been put in, as well as construction has broken underground. So far, we've had no issues from the contractor, which is always good news. PSE&G still has some additional work to do, so I can't give an exact timeline on when it'll be finished, but I expect it will take a couple more weeks. Once fully finished, we'll put in for reimbursement for the NJDEP grant, which is $75,000, as well as for the PSE&G grants, which are $25,000 per charging station. We'll then have to do an ordinance establishing the fees and rules of the charging station as required by the state of New Jersey. But overall, happy to see the project finally being implemented. Additionally, since the last meeting, we received the award for the 2024 New Jersey ARP firefighter grant. We received $55,000 from this grant cycle, which is almost double the $28,000 we got last cycle. So that's good news, and I just like to thank the fire department for helping me get the documents and information I needed to apply for the grant. That's all.
Okay. Our CFO, anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. One, it's my annual opportunity to remind all the seniors in terms of the senior freeze. Now is the time that the books are being mailed, and it surprises me that there's still people that are coming to the counter and don't know anything about the program. It's really truly benefits the seniors in terms of it. The year that they apply, that becomes what they call the base year. And every year thereafter that they qualify, they get a check sent to them from the state for the difference. And I know a lot of people were concerned with the new assessments, how that was going to affect the program, but it's not going to affect them at all. So again, the seniors are not going to, they still have to pay the full tax, but then they get the reimbursement back. So that's a good thing. Just one other thing, we had sent out around 500 water delinquent notices and 200 tax delinquent notices. Unfortunately, the post office took over 2 weeks for them to deliver them to our Waldwick residents. It's a little frustrating because then all the interest was not calculated correctly, but they did finally deliver them. But anybody that hasn't gotten their mail, check in with us and we can let you know. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. There's one resolution for another settlement of a tax appeal. This is the last of the long-standing tax appeals. There's no other appeals that are more than a year old. So this goes all the way back from 2015. There's been some delay in trying to get it resolved, but we finally have it resolved for what I believe is favorable to the borough. So if that gets approved tonight, we'll get that paperwork processed. I do have 2 items for closed session, but there won't be any action taken after closed session. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Consent resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Be it resolved that the following resolutions herewith listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Walden, are hereby passed and approved. 2024-96, approval of consent. 2024-97, approval of minutes, regular meeting and closed session meeting, February 27, 2004. Policy votes. A, Waldock Education Foundation requests to hold a townwide garage sale on Saturday, April 27th and Sunday, April 28th, and a waiver of garage sale permit fees as outlined in their letter of February 24th. B, Waldwick Community Alliance requests to hold the annual car show event on Sunday, June 2nd from 9:30 to 3, rain date June 9th, as described in the letter dated February 29th. C, Waldwick Football Club requests to use Veterans Park Field from March 1st through July 31st for U8, 9, 10, and 11 practicing games as shown in their letter of February 23rd. I'm sorry, it was an email. D, Alexandra Byrne requests to hold a block party on May 18th from 12:30 to 9, with Smithfield Road to be closed between 19 Smithfield and 58 Smithfield, with alcoholic beverages being served. E, Village School Parents Association requests to hold a splash party at the Waldock Pool on June 10th, with June 11th as the rain date from 3:30 to 5:30, and requests lifeguards be present. F, Waldock High School requests to use the municipal pool on June 12th from 10 to 3 for the senior class barbecue with rain date of June 13th, with lifeguard staff requested. G, the class activity parents of Traphagen and Crescent request to use the municipal pool on June 17th from 3 to 6 p.m. for the 5th grade splash party with lifeguard staff requested. H, Waldwick Middle School PSO requests to use the Waldwick pool for the 2024 8th grade promotion party on June 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. with lifeguards. I, Richard Stark requests to use Pavilion A on June 15th from 8 a.m. to dusk for a family memorial gathering with alcoholic beverages being served. 2024-98, authorizing settlement of tax appeals for 168 Franklin Concept versus Borough of Waldwick, docket numbers. Do I need to read them all? There's a lot of them. 2024-99, authorize rejection of all bids for the administration building second floor interior alterations. 2024-100, award a non-fair and open professional service contract to Boswell Engineering for improvement to Harrison Avenue, Task 1, Engineering and Design and Bidding, in the amount of $11,500. 2024-101, authorize advertisement and receipt of bids for the concessions at the Waldwick Municipal Pool. 2024-102, authorize amendment to the auto cab license for DJ Limo LLC. 2024-103, approval of a social affair permit for the Waldwick Community Alliance Annual Car Show. 2024-104, approve raffle license 2024-01 for the Waldwick Baseball Association. 2024-105, authorize waiver of permit fees to Accurate Construction LLC for wall vac bathroom renovations. 2024-106, appointment of police officer Luke Jimenez. 2024-107, appointment of full-time telecommunications officer Austin Reed. And 2024-108, payment of vouchers.
Do we have a motion and a second to accept? Motion by Mark, second by Mike. Anyone on the question? First of all, a lot of these that you're seeing here, a lot of policy votes are the different organizations in the town, the schools and all that, who every year use our pool for graduation ceremonies and for parties and things of that nature. We always reach out and help them out, whatever they need. Also, 2024-101, that is the concession stand at the pool. Every year, we try to get someone to be in the stands so that they could sell some refreshments and food to the people that are using our pool, our residents. So what we're doing is we're going out to bid for that. Also, 2024-106, Luke Jimenez, who is a dispatcher right now. He will be now a police officer going into the academy. He will be sworn in by us at our next meeting, the first meeting that we have in April. And also 2024-99, what that is that we were going to be doing some work in the extra area where we had storage for the Board of Health to come in, but things didn't work out that way. So what we did was we went out for bids, and what we did was when Matt opened up the bids, we just had to reject them because of the fact that we're not doing the project. Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
I just have to recuse on 2024-104, a raffle for Waldwick Baseball Association. Everything else, yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay, we have two public hearings. Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2024-02?
Ordinance number 2024-02, bond ordinance to authorize the acquisition of real property for open space and recreation purposes in, by, and for the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,575,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? What this is this is the property that we're buying on Wyckoff Avenue. It's 3 acres of property that we were working with the owners, and we came to an agreement. And I'll have Steve talk to you about it a little bit more because he's been very active with this.
So this is really just to put the funding in place to finalize the acquisition. There's no set plans, I'll just say that, but the goal is, I think everyone's working towards maintaining open space on that location. And then, the next phase would be to discuss what we want to do there. But this is really just to put the funding in place so we can move forward. That's it.
Anyone else? I close the council's comments, open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? Seeing no one, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers required by law. I have a motion and a second. Motion by Joe, second by Michelle. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Marnello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Clerk, kindly read ordinance number 2024-03.
Ordinance number 2024-03, authorize the acquisition of real property known as lots 6.02 and 6.08 in Block 136 as identified on the tax map of the Borough of Waldwick, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, commonly known as 197 Wyckoff Ave and 9 Brady Place.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? What this is this is the property that we're buying on Wyckoff Avenue. It's 3 acres of property that goes from one street to another, which is the ending on Brady Street. Anything?
Not much to add. This is really, unless the borough attorney wants to add something.
I'll just clarify, the first ordinance that we did put the funding in place, this is for the actual acquisition.
Right. Anyone else? I close the council's comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment? Seeing none, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized to advertise in the local legal newspapers required by law. Motion and a second. Motion by Mark, second by Mr. Mike. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinances. Clerk, kindly read ordinance number 2024-04.
Ordinance number 2024-04, Borough of Waldwick, Bergen County, New Jersey, calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14.
The motion in order is to move and pass this ordinance on first reading and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do you have a motion and a second? Motion by Mike, second by Michelle. On the question.
Actually, we're going to let Colleen comment on the cap, if that's okay.
In regard to municipal budgets, there was a New Jersey law dating back to 2004 which limits municipalities to a 2.5% appropriation increase or the cost of living adjustment, whichever is less. This year, the COLA happens to be the same as the allowed increase, it's 2.5%. However, the governing bodies can authorize an ordinance to increase it to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations. This ordinance is giving the governing body the ability to allow for a 3.5% calculation, and whatever is not used can be banked and carried over to the next 2 years for unplanned or unseen events. The 3.5% increase over last year's appropriation would amount to an allowable appropriation increase of $366,785, as opposed to 2.5 allowable increase of $261,989. This is like an insurance policy. If you don't need it, you don't use it, but it's there if you do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Ramondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay, our second one, Clerk, read 2024-109.
This is the resolution to introduce the 2024 municipal budget.
Now, gentlemen, we'll discuss it. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss our budget right now. So before we do that, I just want to let everyone know that tonight we are adopting introducing our budget, thank you very much, for 2024. It's a budget that we're kind of proud of. We're never really proud when we have to raise taxes, but I think we did a great job in keeping it very low at a 1%, and Mike will let you know all about that. A lot of people had a lot to do with this, our administrator, our CFO, our grant administrator, our clerk, and all our department heads all came together. They worked very hard to put this budget together that we are presenting tonight. Also, I'd like to thank the council who, I think this is the first year in a while that we met on Saturdays, and we met a lot to put this budget together. We, tried our hardest to be fair with everybody. There's a lot of wants and a lot of needs, but at the end of the day, what counts most is what we really need for our residents in the borough. And I feel that if you look at this budget, which it's online, it'll be online and everything, you'll see that we've been very generous, but also we've been very firm on a lot of things. And moving forward, even though tonight we presented and then it'll be voted on and everything, still, we'll be looking at 2025 already, because we can never stop. We have to keep on going. And our big thing, as Mike will tell you, is putting money in reserve. That's very important right now. And we were told that by Colleen very forcefully the other night, and we listened to her because Colleen knows, and if you don't put money in reserve, you're not going to have it to spend or use when you really need it. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just say a few things. It's an introduction, so I'll try to keep it high level. As the mayor said, the budget information will be posted online tomorrow, I'm assuming, or maybe the next day.
Tomorrow.
This week, it'll be posted, so if there's questions, you can reach out. But I think it was my first year kind of managing this committee, so thank you to the committee. We met probably more times before meeting with the council, I think, this year than I did the prior 2 years. So we were really trying to dig deep into this budget. We first addressed our capital budget. That is the budget that pays for projects throughout town, so roads. You saw the acquisition of the property tonight. That goes into the capital budget. I think we were presented with something that we ultimately cut down the presented capital budget by about 45%. We cut it nearly in half and really asked ourselves, what is a needs to have versus a wants? And I think that we did this with the right balance of protecting Waldwick's future, the infrastructure, but also kind of making sure that we weren't doing things too soon. So very proud of the capital budget. The other thing that, as the mayor alluded to, we really spent a lot of time this year focused on a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. How are we going to make sure that we continue to keep a surplus and that we don't create a situation where the capital budget or the operating budget becomes too high for the town to essentially carry. So I'm proud of kind of, I think, the mentality that we have as we think about generating new revenue streams throughout the next couple years to ensure that we do get to a place where we can continue to invest in Waldwick. So that was the capital budget. We then turned our attention to the operating budget. I think that as a testament to years prior, this is already a pretty bare bones operating budget. Our employees, kind of what we spend on a day-to-day to keep the borough going. This year we were fortunate. It didn't have what I call compulsory increases as much this year as we did last year. Last year, if you remember, our garbage and trash contract went up a massive amount. We had massive increases in insurance, in pension payments, things of that nature. We certainly saw increases this year that added burden to the operating budget, but it wasn't nearly as bad as we had seen in the past we were fortunate, but we still kept it bare bones. The only real addition we made into the budget was the hiring of a police officer, which we adopted this evening, in anticipation of potential retirements in the future and the force being down an officer. So it was absolutely the right move. And in the end, we came to a budget where we're spending about, out of our surplus, I think 50,000 roughly more this year than we did last year. And we will have the tax increase at 1%, which will be, I say, $40-ish dollars per year on the average house in Waldwick. I think we all went into this budget hoping that we would have a 0% increase, but as it all played out, it didn't seem like it was the right move long term. I think we could hold taxes, but it starts to catch up with you in 5-10 years from now. We could be in real trouble. So I think that it is a budget we're all proud of. Certainly, we'll get into more details after everyone's had a chance to look at the information that gets posted, and obviously happy to answer any questions you may have. But those are my comments. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, a motion and second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Motion and second.
Motion.
Andy, second by Joe. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Clerk, kindly read ordinance number 2024-05.
Ordinance number 2024-05, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-11, fixing the compensation, salaries, and wages of the officials and employees of the Borough of Waldwick.
A motion and a second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Motion and a second. Motion by Mark, and second by Michelle. Anyone on the question on that?
Yeah, this is pretty simple, straightforward. It's just updating the salary ordinance. This sets the maximum and minimums and the ranges for all the non-union employees in the borough.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Brennick?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay, anyone on the council have unfinished business? Not new business. We have two items. First one is the Waldwick Municipal Pool hours and fees.
Yeah, I'll kind of start, but do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So we've had some discussion just internally with staff, and I think we've mentioned it to all of you also. First, the hours we'll address with the pool. So we had a preseason pool meeting with our pool manager, and the suggestion came up to adjust the hours slightly. So that's the one proposal here, or recommendation that we're making, is to actually, right now the ordinance reads that the pool will close at 8 p.m. or sundown. We thought that was kind of open-ended and a little objective. So we wanted to just put a solid time on that, just to make it clear. So we're proposing a 7 o'clock closing time. There was a concern from the pool manager that, sometimes throughout the summer, 8 o'clock, it's actually dark. We don't have lights there, so it becomes a safety issue. So that was one concern. And then the other one was we put out a postseason survey to get some feedback last year, and some of the things that came up were adjusting the hours to be more accommodating to young families. So we thought actually maybe taking that hour and shifting it on the front end and opening the pool at 10 a.m. to accommodate the younger families so they could come, hang out for a little bit, go home, do nap time, whatever, and come back. So that's kind of what we're proposing, just have those set times, shift the hours slightly. And then kind of jumping into fees. Actually, I'll stop there. Did I miss anything?
No, that was good.
Okay, all right, thank you. We've put a lot of time in having some of these discussions. Fees with the pool will tie into item B, just in fees in general. We're trying to do a deep dive. As we went through the budget process, we found out we lost some revenue. We're pretty short on revenue. We need to find new ways to generate new revenue. Fees is one way to do that. Obviously, you want to balance there. You don't want to hit people with additional unnecessary fees. But I kind of just wanted to put it out there, get everyone's feeling on we're looking at building department fees, our facility rental fees for sports organizations, things like that, the pool membership fees, maybe not even the amounts, but the structure of them to see if we could, tweak it a little bit to make it work better for us and the needs of the residents. So I really just kind of wanted to put that out and maybe get some general feedback. You don't have to answer now, but that's kind of some of the things we're looking at internally.
Anybody have any questions right now?
Steve, what's our current rate for the pool membership?
So there's a couple different membership fees. I should have them in front of me. I don't have them up in front of me right now.
Share that.
But we have done a full analysis, kind of comparables around the area. We do have a whole spreadsheet, which we can share with you guys too, as we look at it some more. But just to kind of see where we're at in the different membership levels.
Yeah, I'd actually be interested if we can compare that against relative use. So how many times are people coming to the pool? What kind of value are they getting out of that membership fee? Determine, if we have a right kind of cost.
I can give you the fees. I have them. This is without the early registration discount. For children 4 to 17 is $75. Adults 18 to 62, $80. Seniors over 62, $55. Non-resident children, $250 each. And non-resident adults 18 and older, including seniors, $300 each. And we currently have guest rates, which are only for Waldeck residents, $20 per day for 18 and over, and under 18, $15 per day.
And just the whole season, these folks?
Yes, I do believe if you register early, I think it's $10 off each of those that was stated, not one.
Just
Yeah.
for the Waldwick
Just
residents.
for Waldeck residents.
Well, the only other residents that come to our pool is Midland Park, because we have a little in agreement with them, that we use their program, rec program, and they come to our pool. What you could do is you could review everything, you have it, think about it, send Steve an email, like you did last time with the Ramadan ceremony, and he'll answer any one of your questions. The only thing I would say is, I don't want to go too crazy on the fees, jump up. I mean, honestly, I really don't care what other towns charge. All I care about is what we charge. And I think that we have to be a little, let's not go crazy, which I know I guess we won't. And with the seniors, we got to be,
Yeah.
that's very important.
With the last few seasons, have we done, I know we did the survey last year, but do we have like they have a maximum, like how many people came per day? So like, would we be open to opening it up to another town also besides Midland Park? Or is that?
If you're out of town, we have out of town people who are from Franklin Lakes or from Wyckoff.
Right.
So it's not just Midland
Okay,
Park.
it is,
Yeah,
it's a few different
open.
towns.
It's just if they want to pay the $300
Do we know how
$50.
many, like, out of town, like,
We-
non-residents
We
take
have all of
advantage?
that. We
Yeah.
have all that, yeah.
Okay.
But
Like,
Midland Park pays a different rate. I mean,
right, they pay a
higher
non-resident, they
rate.
pay the
They
non-resident
pay a
rate.
non-resident,
Right.
Yeah, it is higher.
right.
I think one thing to note too that we notice is our numbers are down right now.
For the amount of people
Yeah,
coming or the amount of people registering?
For the amount of people.
People
right.
buying the membership, okay.
So obviously, we'd like to see those numbers come
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's a balance.
We lost a lot of residents, or it's an even,
I think some of the
Well,
non-residents.
I'm sorry?
I think some of the non-residents.
The
right?
The
non-residents.
non-residents that we lost.
But the fees are not just just related to the pool, right? We're talking potential construction fees. We're talking about an entire
Yeah, in
fee
addition,
schedule, right? Yeah.
pool's one
Yeah.
of them, but building
Yeah.
department fees, we actually
Yeah.
have some solid recommendations.
Right.
That we'll formally present. But that's just kind of some of the things, some of the areas we're looking at right now, so I just want you to be aware
Yeah.
and kind of put that out there.
Anyone else?
Yep. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is, right now, we have, the late fee for the dogs is March 1st. We had changed that during COVID because people literally could not get vet appointments. So, in looking at the statute, and we kind of enlisted Craig's help, although he said do what we want, but what we're looking to do is, the state will allow us to license dogs from January 1st to June 30th. So there would be no penalty. So now you just have to worry about the people from July 1st to October 31st. And we feel that as long as they license their dog in the month they're rabies vaccination due. So say my dog's license is due August 15th. So as long as they come into me by August 30th, 31st, they would not get a late fee. But come September 1st, Tatiana's going to immediately send out late fees so that we can capture it that way. We kind of thought that was fair because everyone else is kind of getting a pass if they, they're not going to get charged a late fee. But these people who fall in this window, no matter when that window is, are going to get a late fee, and it doesn't seem to be fair. It's not fair. It's not really fair. So as long as they license in the month that their rabies is due, by the last day of that month, there's no late fee. So that's what I am proposing, and if everybody's agreeable, just, again, if you're going to shoot them an email, just include that in there, so that if we are going to go forward with that, we can do the ordinance for the next meeting. Anybody have any questions?
Any other new business from the council?
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to speak about the Environmental Committee. I'd like to thank Steve and Tatiana. We had some updates that needed to be completed on the webpage. Reached out to them, and they both took care of it rather quickly. The other thing is we're possibly looking at a survey to send out to residents to see what environmental needs they think the town needs. We're going to be working on that. One of our members actually created the most up-to-date newsletter. We're going to be producing a quarterly newsletter promoting some of the items. I think the current one mentions the EV stations. They're all on the website. One of the next things that I'd like to bring up is next week on Thursday will be the first meeting that Michelle and I will be co-chairing between the Environmental Committee and the Beautification Team, and that will be on Thursday, the 21st at 7 p.m. I think we're going to be up here in the chambers, unless the health,
Yeah, they'll be up here.
unless the health team will be up here.
No, I think you're okay.
And just, again, thanks to the mayor and council for all the assistance of moving forward with this.
Thank you. Any other new business? If not, public comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment on anything, please come to the microphone. State your name only. Do not give us your address.
Yeah, Eric Laporta. Just wondering if they're taking any applications for new signs for veterans?
Yep, ongoing.
No,
Oh.
we have no polls left.
Oh,
No, we're not
That's-
taking any more.
I thought we were going to do the other side, flip side. Yeah, we'll
Okay,
take them.
great.
What we're going to do is we're going to put polls, like one on one side, one on the other.
Okay.
'Cause we did-
And they'll probably be up for Memorial Day.
Yeah,
They'll be up for
absolutely.
Memorial
Okay.
Day.
Absolutely.
Thank
See
you.
how DVW does it now. We don't have to wait for the company to come in. Anyone else?
Lori Gillen. I think some of you may know why I'm here, but I live on Schuler, next to Veterans Park, next to the water tower. And I met with Mr. Neal and Mayor Giordano on February 16th to talk about how unsightly that is as a resident. I look out of at my bedroom window, my office window. That one tank that's there is, I've come to live with it. The second tank, there was a temporary tank, which has been pretty decent. It's to the fence line, only to discover that that other vessel is coming, so now I have two 40-foot tanks outside my bedroom window. And I've asked at that meeting with the mayor and Mr. Neal to see what what the town can do to help, because it's a quality of life. I lived here for over 20 years, brought my kids up here. That park was always a wonderful thing for them. That water, I guess the pump house has always been there, and it's been fine. There hasn't been any issues with it, and now, because of the water ordinances and the requirements that are, from the state, we need to address that, which I'm okay with. I understand that water is important, safety is important, and I'm all for that. But now I've asked in that meeting to keep that temporary tank there because at least it's decent. It's not that, unsightly. On top of it, it's Veterans Park. There are a ton of things going on there. A lot of out-of-town people come, and that's what they see. It's in a residential area, surrounding homes, and it's awful. Plain and simple, it's just awful. And I am very disappointed because when we talked about several things, whether it was landscaping, trees that I asked from my landscaper for the town to pay, for me to maintain, but for the town to pay and install, to keep that tank there, and I haven't heard back, and that meeting was on February 16th. So here we are, March, and I didn't hear anything, any feedback.
Well, I think we told you that we won't do any work there until the whole project is complete. And I think I think Steve mentioned to you about that vessel. We have to put another vessel the way it was. You recommended to bring it up to Wyckoff Avenue. We told you we couldn't do that. If you want to.
Yeah, so I apologize if we were supposed to follow up, but we can't do any of the landscaping or anything like that.
No, that I
until the
understand.
complete-
I get
okay.
that. I know that you can't plant this time of the year. I totally understand, and I understand it's a working project, and obviously you can't do that. But I didn't hear back. I gave you 2 proposals from landscapers. You know, I asked to also purchase about 18 to 20 feet next to my property that I've been maintaining all these years with the trees, and I've been cutting them back on the power lines and, you know, over my roof and all that. But I didn't hear back on that either. So, you know, I mean, to wait till October, which is something that you mentioned that you were going to do landscaping, to hear back on that is not acceptable. I'm coming back in it's the summertime, and I'm asking for trees on my property, not to that. It doesn't seem like, you know, it's going to work out, right? I'm still going to have 2 40-foot tanks there, which, you know, is just such a joy. But I invite every one of you to come to 19 Schuler Avenue and take a look at what I'm looking at. And I'm telling you, it's awful. And I'm extremely upset and very, very disappointed. Like I said, I look at that all the time now. It's such an eyesore. And I'm just upset and completely devastated by what that area of the town has got to. It's a park. Little kids are there. People are there playing basketball. You know, now there's going to be, I guess, a soccer team or a football team there all summer long. I mean, if this is how we want to represent the town, to say, oh, yeah, we're okay, you know, this is just what it is, it's residential area, so be it. That's not acceptable.
Unfortunately, though, we're not the only town that has had to put
I
these
understand
tanks
that.
in. And driving around Bergen County, they're everywhere. Now, they have, I don't know if there's any way that they could not be white
They're blue.
or blue, like maybe a green, I don't know if they can be a different color,
I could check
or if they
on
could
that.
be, you know.
I doubt
But
it because
unfortunately-
there's giant warning
Yeah,
stickers on there,
I know.
which adds
But
to the...
unfortunately,
adds to
driving
it.
through every town in Bergen County, they stick out like a sore thumb because the original pump stations are not made to house a 40-foot tank.
Then why can't,
So,
because I'm in a residential area, why
Yeah.
can't that temporary tank that's there, why can't that stay?
that one had to be taken out of service in the wintertime. They couldn't even use that well during the wintertime because it was a temporary PFAS tank for freezing issues. They would take it out, they would shut the whole thing down.
But then address
So that-
those issues.
that's
If it's
why-
a freezing issue, then
well,
address
that's
that issue.
That's why these are the permanent ones, aren't susceptible to that.
And
Then I would like to know, what is the town going to do to help me out? Because I'm not kidding you. I mean, I have been here for over 20 years, 24 years. I have been on that, at that house, and it's always been wonderful. You know, I've been through so many iterations of the park, the construction of the bathrooms, it just so much of it. And now this, and it's just, this is, I'm telling you, the resale of the homes in that area are going to suffer. They truly are. And something needs to be done to make it look acceptable or to the reflection of what Waldwick is. But the way it is now, obviously, it's a construction zone, and I get that, okay? But you can't just put those tanks in, flatten up the land, put some trees up, and call it a day. It's not going to work. Not for me.
Well, again, just to follow up, you know, we said we will absolutely follow up with you. Unfortunately, where we're at right now, we're in the middle of construction. There's nothing to really follow up on until the construction is complete, where we know where we're at with the end of the project. And we have your quotes and everything, but Until that project is complete and we have a true understanding of what we're at, we can't design anything or go over that. We will absolutely follow up with you in the fall on completion of it when we can actually attack it. But right now, that type of work that we discussed is outside of the scope of the project, so it cannot be included now. We are under an administrative consent order from the DEP, which is very strict, and we have to report on that repeatedly. So we really can't go outside the project right now until it is complete, even with landscaping and some of the surroundings. So we definitely want to look into that. We told you we have some ideas for some of the bushes and shrubs in that area to try and add, a nice buffer. Unfortunately, the tanks themselves, there is nothing we can do about that at this point.
What about the proposal that I have on the shrub, the trees that I'm asking for on my property line? Has nothing then to do with that. That I would like an answer on too.
That's something we'll have to discuss further because it is on your property if you wanted to go ahead and plant on your property.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking for the town to do that. At least throw me something. You know what I mean? I understand that you can't do the landscaping around the project. I get that, okay? And I know that we talked about putting trees around the fencing and all of that to kind of put that buffer. But I'm asking for a buffer on my property, so when I'm sitting on my deck, I don't see that. I asked also if I could purchase some of the land. That's tax dollars to this town. I didn't hear back on that either. So there's a few things that I would just like to get a little bit more information on, or if you can just, kind of go over the notes that we had, that we discussed on February 16th. And I thought that there was going to be a follow-up email to saying this is what we discussed and this is what we're going to do. And I think the mayor did say that that conversation was going to be put out to the council, and I'm not sure whether you were privy to that or you got any notes on that, but maybe not.
They all know what we talked about. Steve sent it in his weekly message to them all. One member.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, the last thing I just want to say, if any one of you want to take a ride over there and see what I'm looking at, you're more than welcome to. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to go into close? Motion by Andy, second by Michelle. All those in favor? No decisions will be made.